Have you ever wished you could just hit a reset button on a part of your brain? You know, to change a habit or maybe shift your mindset or even build a totally new skill from scratch? Well, what if I told you you actually can? Today, we're going to dive into the science that shows you exactly how to do it. This is your guide to literally rewiring your own brain. So let's just get the biggest question out of the way right now. Can you really change your brain? I mean, for the longest time, the answer was a hard no. The thinking was that our brains were pretty much set in stone once we hit adulthood. But oh man, modern neuroscience has completely blown that idea out of the water. The answer we now know for a fact is a huge, resounding yes. All right, so here's our game plan. First, we'll talk about why your brain is so malleable. Then we'll see how simple repetition is the key to rewiring it. After that, we get practical with a 30-day protocol you can actually use. And finally, we'll look at what happens when you create a new default setting for yourself. Okay, first things first, the malleable brain. We gotta throw out that old, dusty idea that your mind is fixed, because understanding this one concept, well, it makes everything else we're about to talk about possible. This right here, this is the most important biological fact for us today, and it's not some feel-good metaphor. It all comes down to a famous saying in neuroscience: neurons that fire together wire together. Every single time you repeat an action or a thought, you are physically strengthening the connections between the brain cells involved. You are literally changing the physical structure of your brain. That is the secret sauce. Now, the fancy scientific name for all this is neuroplasticity, but don't let the word scare you. Just break it down. Neural, for your neurons, your brain cells, and plasticity, which just means it's moldable or changeable. Your brain is constantly reorganizing itself based on everything you do, think, and experience. So the big takeaway here is that you aren't just a passenger along for the ride. You are actively shaping your own mind every single day. Okay, so if our brain is this changeable, plastic thing, how does repetition actually rewire it? Let's get into the nuts and bolts of how a habit is born, right down at the neural level. To make this crystal clear, let's use a little analogy. I want you to picture your brain as a dense, thick forest, and all your thoughts and behaviors are different paths through this forest, right? The ones you use all the time are like these wide, clear highways. But those brand new behaviors, there's not even a path for them yet. It's just thick, untouched woods. And this is where it gets really cool. That first time you try a new habit, it's tough. It's like you're hacking through vines with a machete. But with every single repetition, something amazing starts to happen. A fatty substance called myelin begins to wrap itself around that neural pathway. Think of it like insulation on an electrical wire. It makes a signal travel way faster, way more efficiently. You do this enough times, and that little dirt path becomes a paved superhighway. Your brain doesn't even have to think about it, it just takes that road automatically. That's not just an action anymore. That, my friends, is a new habit. So we've covered the what and the why. Now, let's get to the how. Here is a simple, actionable, 30-day protocol to intentionally go in and pave a new road in your brain. So, why 30 days? What's the magic number? Well, while it can vary a little from person to person, a solid month seems to be a really powerful time frame. It's enough time to take a new neural pathway from that difficult, overgrown trail and turn it into a much more reliable, almost automatic path. It's the critical period for laying that new foundation. Now, the protocol itself is super simple, but every single step is crucial. First, focus. You have to pick just one thing. Seriously. Don't try to change your whole life at once. You'll just burn out. Second, repetition. You've got to commit to doing the new thing every single day. Third, and this is maybe the most important, consistency. Missing a day? That's like letting all the weeds and vines grow right back over that new path you're trying to clear. And finally, mindfulness. As you're doing the new action, literally say to yourself, I am doing this new thing. That conscious acknowledgement, it's like adding an extra layer of pavement to your new road. And all of that brings us to the payoff. Because after 30 days of this focused effort, you don't just have a new habit, you have a brand new default setting for your brain. I absolutely love this slide because it just lays out the transformation so perfectly. Before, doing the new thing felt like a chore, right? It took up all your mental energy, all your willpower. But after you've consistently rewired that pathway, it becomes the brain's new path of least resistance. It goes from being the hardest thing you do all day to something you just do without even thinking about it. So look, if you take one thing away from this, let it be this. Your brain isn't just something that happens to you. Through focused, consistent repetition of your behaviors and your thoughts, you are the one holding the blueprints. You are the architect of your own mind.
So I'm going to leave you with one final and I think pretty powerful question. Knowing that you have the tools, that you can intentionally create these new neural highways, that you can literally change the landscape of your own mind, what new path are you going to pave first?